Rich, Aaron, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Hall of Famer. We appreciate you guys coming out, so go for it.
Thanks, Paul. Well, so as Paul mentioned, we were here for a fretboard summit, so we've been talking guitars for 8 hours a day for the past 3 days, and we must be in the right industry because we're not done. We can't. Let's just keep it going Sunday. And so thank you guys for supporting Paul and coming out on a Sunday to chat about guitars with us. It's a big deal. And we can't thank you guys enough for all you do for our brand. You know, like you said, 35, 40 years, you know, almost the entire existence of Taylor Guitars. We're in our 51st year of business right now. Bob Taylor and Kurt Listug started the company when they were 19 and 21 years old. And about 4 years ago, they sold the company to their employees. So now we're an employee-owned company, and we're in charge of keeping this thing going for the next 50 years. And so we look back at some of the things, and now Bob Taylor reissued some of his legacy guitars. So Paul has some of those in there, like original Bob Taylor designs. There's a big jumbo 815 with the mustache bridge in there that he swore he'd never do again because
he got the idea from what's under your nose.
Oh, mustache, that's right.
Yep,
Yeah,
so
that's where it came from.
So some of that, so some of the old school designs that we were just looking at doing again. And then on the other side of it, you have Andy Powers, who has been our master luthier, president, CEO for the past 5, 6, 7 years. And some of the things that he's doing are absolutely amazing. So Colleen, if you don't mind, can you pick up that Builder's Edition right there and just kind of show that? So over the years, this is who we've become, but this is what we've become to be known as the modern sound of the acoustic. That's our Grand Auditorium, that's our best-selling guitar right there. You can look at it, you can see some of the woodworking on it, Honduran rosewood. It's got the contour cutaway and armrest and bevel. There's no sharp edges on that. That's the Builder's Edition. That's the most Taylor that you can find. So what we've also realized is like, hey, some people, maybe they want a little bit different flavor. And so Andy was working on something that eventually turned into the gold label guitar. So some of you walked in and you were like, wait, what is this? What's going on with the headstock? Is Taylor changing their whole thing around? So this is the headstock for the gold label. So that's how you know that this is one of the gold label collections. And what Andy did with this, he looked back at a lot of influences from the 30s and 40s. There's a lot of banjo, mandolin styling with this. There's some classical guitar building. You can see like a Honduran rosewood bridge and the ebony fingerboard. That was something that classical guitar builders did back in the day. So he took a lot of the influences there and made a less, as we talk about it, high fidelity, modern Taylor sound, and packed it all into one really cool guitar. So this is an 814 CE legacy model. 814E gold label, and it's called a super auditorium body shape. So what this is the Grand Auditorium platform, but it's a little bit longer and it's a little bit wider. So you're going to get a bigger, fatter sound out of this than you would normally get out of an 814 CE.
Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm not going to show off, not going to play all my fast licks. They already told me I can't play more than 6 notes. And I know more than 5 songs, I swear to God. But if we don't use the same sort of things, you're not going to hear the differences, okay? So I'm going to play the same sort of chord structures. I might do a little bit of some solo work, but just a little bit, okay? So kind of just basic acoustic guitar strumming, if you will. So the thing that I would ask you to listen for, this is a 6-string guitar. So can you hear all 6 strings independently? Or do you hear the harmonious nature of how they fit together? And that's kind of maybe a deep sort of a question. But it is kind of important because if you watch piano players a lot, okay, you got 10 fingers, but it's not always 10 all the time. So you're looking for how the guitar is translating what your right hand and left hand are doing, okay? They say that a musician is totally different than most other people because he talks a whole different language. You can talk circle of fifths, you can talk harmonies, you can talk 1, 2, 3. That's musician speak. And that's why I'm a guitar player. See, that's a joke. So here's where you're listening to. Great sustain, and you can hear the whole chord come through. Okay.
Just to ask, can we switch off the amp for just a second so we can hear it without the amp coloration?
Can you all hear that? Okay.
It's a loud guitar.
Well then, yeah, it's a loud guitar.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's our gold label design. So Andy developed this bracing. This is a traditional bracing. I'm glad you guys have these, Paul. This is a traditional bracing that's been around for over about 200 years, almost, right? 150, give or take. And that's an X brace. Now, most builders have taken some version of X brace, which is this, meaning there's an X that runs through here, right underneath the sound hole. Gets your sound transfer out right over the lower bout, right? You got a couple of scallop braces here and that sort of thing. But most builders use this as their sort of sonic footprint and then taper to an extent, move things around. You know, they call it moving sticks around and seeing what happens. But it's really like the skeleton of your guitar, and it also has a lot to do with the sound transfer of the soundboard, which is one of the most important parts of the acoustic guitar. Andy, a few years ago, built this. So this is a V-class bracing. So instead of the traditional X brace, it's a V brace, right? You can see it running down from the upper bout right to the end of the lower bout at the tip here. And what this does was it basically made things super rigid in terms of where the string tension is with the bridge, but made the sides really flexible. And that gave you volume and sustain, but not at the expense of each other. So that's been in our guitars for the past few years. Very, very cool design, amazing sounding guitars, right? Where we keep pushing the envelope. And with our gold label guitars, we're using a fan V-class. So you can see what's happened around here. Once again, you can kind of see it's sort of a nylon string building type of architecture, right? So it's still V-class up here, and then the bottom half is a fan V, so is a fan brace. So you're getting more volume, you're getting more like robust sound, you're getting a lot of sustain, as Rich just showed you. So that's sort of the sonic architecture of what's happening with the gold label models. And you could probably hear quite a difference, right? It's a little bit of a departure from the normal Taylor sound you might have been used to over the past few years. We also make the Super Auditorium version in Koa. So, Rich, if you show the back and sides of there real quick. So this is Honduran rosewood. It's one of the densest rosewoods that's out there. So rosewood's going to give you, if you've ever been to a roadshow before over the last 15 years, we kind of talk in terms of tone. And the back and sides woods colors the tone. So what rosewood gives you is a nice bass response, scooped mid-range, and a nice treble response. But being Honduran rosewood, it's sort of an elevated experience. It's kind of like the exotic version of an Indian rosewood. And then we made Hawaiian Koa. So Hawaiian Koa gives you a nice natural mid-range. So you're going to hear nice bass, scoop mid-range, and treble with this one. And you're going to hear more mid-range out of the Koa.
Do you want to just leave it off?
Do you guys want to just leave it off? Is it okay? Yeah, okay.
So you can hear it all right. Okay. All right, so there's the rosewood. Could you hear the difference? Huge difference, right?
What do you guys think about this as in terms of overall tone? Could you tell the difference in like, oh, that doesn't really sound like my normal Taylor?
More mids.
More mids, yep, for sure with the
Coming
Koa.
out with the Koa.
Yep. Yep. A couple other things that attribute to the tone transfer too is we're using hide glue or protein glues for the top braces, and then we're using bone bridge pins in the 800 series as well. So a lot of really cool, small batch type of building when it comes to the gold label guitars. So those are two. We just showed you the 814E and the K14E. Now we wanted to show you, we're also making them in the 7 and the 500 series. And we started to introduce those with a slope shoulder dreadnought. And you can pick any one over here you want, Rich.
So here's the 717.
717E. So this is a torrefied spruce top, East Indian rosewood. You can see the decorations are a little bit less than what you'd find here. There's no power shell in the rosette. and the inlays are a little bit more understated, so that's going to give you a price point which comes in under $3,000 for an all solid wood guitar made in the US. So this is our slope shoulder dreadnought 717E. Same type of stylings, but this guitar has a 5-inch depth, so it's almost like J200 depth. So you're going to get a super loud, really pushed forward type of volume and sustain with this guitar. And this is the 717E.
By the way, I'm using kind of a medium pick, medium to heavy. A lot of people ask where we get the wood from. In this case, this is Norwegian wood.
That's the jokes. I wanted to let's talk about the mahogany version too. We love teaching tone in these type of environments, so you know what you're looking for when it comes to your next guitar. So what did we just talk about earlier? Rosewood gives you bass, scoop mids, and nice trebles, and mahogany is going to really put that nice natural mid-range out. So we make them in 2 different flavors right now in terms of the dreadnoughts. Well, 3. We're not supposed to show you we have some super secret guitars that are in cases over here, and if you're really nice to Paul, he might show them to you. But some things that are being released
First time they're out of the factory.
in September, yeah. So, but right now we're offering the dreadnought shape, the slope shoulder dreadnought in mahogany and rosewood. So Rich just played the rosewood version. Now we're going to play the spruce mahogany version.
I see some tears.
They love you. Did you see how that, so sort of the bass kind of got taken away and some of the treble got muted as well, and the mid-range was really nice and natural. That's why a lot of players really love mahogany, because for strumming, you can strum really hard and then really soft on the next hit, right? And it's all kind of evens out. That's what we call natural compression. And so those are the gold labels, right? Still all the Taylor DNA you know and love. Adjustability, great action. There's also something really cool with these guitars is that you can, it's a new version of the NT neck, if you will. It's called the action control neck. So what you would do, once again, you would get your truss rod, you'd get your relief in your neck where you need it to be. And then based on, like, let's say you go out and play in an environment that's super dry. So you're like, oh my gosh, my action's too low. It was really dry out here. So what happened? So what you can do, there's a nut in here that you can get in with this, like what are this thing? The long.
Allen wrench.
It's an out. Yeah. I'm sorry, Rich. It's the same thing as you would do with the truss rod, same size, but with one of those little bendable things. You can put it right in here. There's a nut, and you can adjust your action yourself. So that's what's new with the gold label models as well. Super adjustability. You can do it on your own. There's no taking the neck off, steaming frets, that sort of thing. So it's a really cool addition that we're doing, just kind of pushing the woodworking forward with Taylor guitars. Once again, let's talk about how adjustable the Taylor neck is. We don't have a glued-in joint where it's, you do a neck reset and might cost you now upwards of $1,000, right? Isn't it about $800-900?
About $800.
$800 to do a neck reset. So if you have a Taylor though, Colleen can do it in about 30 minutes, and if you're the original owner, it's free for you. So it's a cool benefit to the longevity and playability of Taylor guitars. You take care of your guitar, it's going to outlast you, So it's a really good thing. Any questions, or we want to go over some custom guitars? Oh, sure.
When I was glancing around at the guitars before you started, it looked like the one you have in your hands is a little thinner body than some of the others. But is that just deceptive, or?
Yeah, it's the same. It's like Grand Auditorium depth. Yeah.
Well, if you're comparing it to
yeah.
this guy, yeah, it's thinner.
Because these are deeper. This is deeper than a normal dreadnought,
if I
about
hold-
3/8 inch deeper.
Here, let me see this.
Yep. Thank you, Rich.
The white binding gets a little.
And the binding
deceiving.
there's a lot of things. Wait, can you see it there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
the
I know it's
dreadnoughts
hard with
is
this and
deeper. So,
So the Grand Auditorium, they made a little wider this way and slightly taller from the standard Grand Auditorium. So it's a bigger body. We talk about lung capacity of a guitar. How much air does the guitar hold, okay? And here in the store, we talk about what is sound. Sound is air moving. If we all got really quiet, we'd hear those ceiling fans moving air. Me talking, I'm moving air. So by making the bodies a little bigger, now there's more air inside, moving more air, not just volume, but more tone. So Grand Auditorium to the Super Auditorium, the body's bigger. Grand Pacific, what they did is they made it deeper. Do you know how much deeper?
3/8 inch.
3/8 of an inch deeper, which is adding more.
That's actually a lot, though, if you're
Yeah,
talking
3/8
in terms
is
of
a mile.
guitar-wise, yeah.
So yeah, they're both been slightly bigger guitars, but still I think very comfortable to play.
Yeah.
No one, and how many people played some of these guitars at the summit, I didn't hear once, oh, this is too big for me. It's still it's comfortable guitar to play.
Yeah.
But a lot more volume, a lot more tone.
Well, a Grand Auditorium is still going to be a little bit more comfortable than a standard dreadnought will be.
Yeah.
And everything really depends on how you rest it on your leg, because what you have to think about, Aaron, could you hold that auditorium up one more time? If you look at the radius of this cut right here, okay, compared to this one here, you can see how this one is, this is my wife's figure, this is my figure, you know. But the thing is that when you rest it on your leg, the whole body sits, the body of the guitar sits higher. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Because if you
waist.
put on there, it sits lower on your leg. So when your shoulder comes around to strum it, see, you can see where Aaron is taller than I am, but you can see the angle of my shoulder versus that. So all of this comes into play. And then it depends on how far the rabbit hole down you want to get. And excuse me if I'm saying too much here, but that affects the angle that you strum. It affects the angle that you hold the neck. These aren't pianos where you sit in front of it and it is what it is. These, you hold them, you can angle them, your shoulder, how tall you are, all of these things come into play. So that's what makes the auditorium so comfortable. And even the concert, if we get that direction, you'll see that's even a little bit different. Does that help a little bit?
Tobias Music is one of our premier dealers when it comes to custom guitars. Does anybody own a Taylor guitar in here? No, we got some people who don't, yes, but thank you for those who do. Anybody own a custom shop Taylor? Do you? Awesome. What do you have?
I have actually a T5 custom. They're called.
Oh, excellent.
I remember that guitar.
Excellent. So hopefully that process was good. Like I said, Paul does a ton of great.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's an expert when it comes to custom guitars, and obviously he stocks plenty of them as well. And we want to show you something, for people who don't want something in the standard line, who want something a little bit different, an heirloom piece to hand down to your kids and grandkids, and something that's more unique in terms of maybe an exotic tone wood, or some of our fine inlay work. We can do a lot of that. So I wanted Paul just to take some guitars off the wall, and we could kind of highlight some tone woods and talk about those. And
So
whatever
grab
you
your
wanted to talk
favorite
about.
five. Grab your favorite one first.
So just for an example, 314 CE is one of Taylor's all-time most popular guitars. I think with the Torrified top, it just gives it that little extra oomph to it.
So very mahogany, flat. If I don't hit it really awfully hard, it still has a very full sound, but it'll take a hard hit. If I change picks, now here's what happened. The volume went way down, but if I look at an EQ, the EQ went up on the treble side. So that's a thin pick. If I go a little bit heavier, totally different. And if I go man size, so it's a huge difference. The greatest way you can change the way your guitar sounds is right there. And you should have, when I perform live, I have one of those pick, things on your hand, and I've got 5 different size picks, and depending on,
Big nerds up
yeah,
here, sorry.
and depending on what song I'm playing, I will take that pick. So if I'm doing a really funky, I'm not gonna use a thick pick on
Yeah,
that.
use that then.
I'm gonna use the thin one, and it'll be, right? So, anyway.
Good point.
So yeah, this
All
one
right.
I'll just go over real quick. This was another one. We just, K24 CE, one of their more popular guitars. We decided this one, go satin finish, double A top. You can kind of see the figure in this one. And didn't put that dark burst on it, just for something different.
Yeah, that's a really nice, good work on this one, Paul.
Yeah, just something different.
Taylor guitar is synonymous with Hawaiian koa. We started using it in the 90s, and for whatever reason, people really love the way that guitar, that tonewood sounds on the body shapes, a lot of times with the Grand Auditorium body shape. Just absolute nice, warm mahogany-ish, but with a little bit extra low end. Actually, Bob Taylor bought, a few years ago, I don't remember how many acres it was on the Big Island of Hawaii in order to repropagate koa. So this is something that he'll never see in his lifetime, because a lot of trees that you see for all of these woods on guitars have to be 80 to 100 years old in order to be big enough to be used for guitars. So, but the koa forest was getting decimated by feral cattle, and he realized, it's a limited resource and we might not have it, and the majority of the guitar makers may not have it. So we're really cool that we were able to do that. Bob took his own personal money to build a tonewood forest in Hawaii, which is really cool. And like I said, it looks great, and it absolutely sounds great on a Taylor guitar body.
What I love about this neck, everything about this guitar, is that it plays in tune all the way up the neck. And one of the things about koa, some people you have to call it a patient wood, because when you buy a koa guitar, it's going to blossom over time. And what that basically means is that the day you buy your koa guitar is the day it sounds the worst. So if it sounds really good now, it's just going to be blossoming in the future. I wanted to do a little finger style on this so you could hear how the koa sounds.
But I think with the satin finish, it's really opened up the koa a little more.
I just wanted you to hear that everything is coming across very even. The low notes, and they're not drowning out the high notes. Can you get a grip of, those are the things that when you're shopping for a guitar, you should be listening for. Always play the same sort of thing, and then see what it inspires you next to play. Wonderful guitar.
Cool guitar.
This is a wonderful guitar. Mabel's going to be very transparent. It's going to give back to you what you give it. Okay, if you want it to sound warm, it'll sound warm. There's a couple of things going on. It is comfortable, but you have to understand, how does a guitar work? A guitar works that when you hit a string, it transmits through the bridge to the top, and the top has to move. So if I choke the guitar, I can stop it. So this kind of keeps you from doing that. You know, what's really interesting is when I used to have my own shop, and when I would work around, people would walk around, and you know, everybody in this room could be guilty of this. You pick a guitar off the wall and you hold it like this, and you go, well, that's not really very loud. Well, you're choking the guitar. And you've all done it, admit it. Don't do that. Sit
I
down,
said-
let the guitar.
Try to be conscious of that when you play any of your acoustic guitars.
Can we play the next one? Because this is one we got. This is it's basically called Mexican Royal Ebony. We did this for a catchy event as well.
Should I show them the
it's
back
called-
of this one?
Yeah, it's called Catalogs or Catalogue.
So some people call it Cataloosh,
Yep.
Catalogs.
Nobody knows how to pronounce
From
it.
Central America or Mexico?
Mexico, Central America, but it's an ebony that looks a lot like rosewood, so it's really dense. You're gonna find a lot of nice low end out of that.
And that I believe sit the screw stop.
I don't know if that is coming through to you, but I can feel it. I mean, it is.
That sounds amazing.
It's a
good
great
sounding guitar.
And that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
That guitar will give you a peaceful, easy feeling.
Right? So we don't have this in, if you were to call up, this is one of those like exclusive attributes just for that event. Because we only had 40 sets of this, or we had some of these inlays that we did in a different material that we normally don't offer. But same thing with these tuners. So these are ebony tuners with a little cocobolo insert on them, right? And then this is boxed wave inlay with a different material. So it's a really cool, unique guitar. A lot of these guitars you'll see will do the back strap that matches, you know, either the peg head, and then the binding on here is ebony. So this is a really great sounding, classy looking guitar.
They're really cool guitars.
Now is that master grade Koa right there? Or
Okay,
is
so the
that-
next one, we gotta talk about this. So this is a Tobias Music Special. This is the 8th one of these that we have built. I did not order 8 at a time because I'm married to our CFO. When this sells, we'll order another one. With our connections with Taylor Guitars, we have our inside rep go down to the wood shop and pick out the wood personally. And actually, he'll send us photographs of 3 sets of wood. Now, in regular times, we'll go out to the factory and pick our own wood. We're doing this later in the fall, but sometimes we just can't run out there to pick a set of wood. So, hey, Mike, will you run down, find the best Koa you can, take pictures, give me 3 sets, I'll pick the one I like from the raw wood, and then they'll build the guitar. So again, this is the 8th one that we built like this, and 7 of them is sold, so I'm allowed to keep ordering once they sold. My feelings is, now this one, maybe I shouldn't say it with Aaron here, this has got to be master grade Koa, but Mike found it in the AA pile. So kind of AA price, master grade, AA price for
Way more
master grade.
expensive, yeah.
I mean, it's killer. We do the island vine inlay because it is Hawaiian Koa, and I think the island vine inlay kind of matches the island theme here. One of the best guitars we keep in store.
There's a lot of abalone you'll see on any guitar. It will be like kind of pale, you know, it's a part of the shell that we use, everybody uses every part of the shell, but some of the deepest parts of the abalone shell are blues and purples and greens, and that's very hard to get. So this is Powa shell, which is sort of the heart of the shell. So if you see a lot of purples and greens and blues, it's also a little bit more expensive. You'll find that on most of the custom shop guitars.
Yeah, so I'm going to play the same lick here. Now, you should be able to hear it. There's a distinct difference in those two guitars. All right, there's a Steinway and there's a Baldwin. I mean, you know, they're both amazing. We're going to use a different pick. Hold on a second. Don't go anywhere. Because I used a little bit heavier pick. There it is. Yeah, so it gives you the low end, it gives you the bright end, and it gives you a great mid, and that's Koa. Okay?
That's a pretty cool guitar.
Yeah.
Pretty cool price tag, but pretty cool guitar. This is another one of the catch customs that we talked about. Taylor got a little supply of what they call ribbon mahogany. So it has those very distinct streaks instead of kind of a wash look to it. Probably affects the tone a little bit, but definitely is an eye catcher. So that's all mahogany, top, back, and sides.
Always got to do that on a mahogany because that's a great test song.
That's a nice
really
guitar.
nice.
Yeah, this is
Maple binding with a little 2000 maple back strip back here. Euro Deco and Art Deco sort of motif on the fretboard and peg head, bronze tuners. That one went together really nicely. That's a nice guitar. Andy Powers came to me and was like, hey, I'm working with a supplier out of South Carolina who deals with Sinker Cypress. And anytime you see the word Sinker before whatever wood you're talking about, it means it was submerged in water or it grew in water. Like Martin does a lot of Sinker mahogany. That was mahogany that was, you know, underwater for quite some time. We do Sinker redwood quite a bit. We get that up in Mendocino River, Northern California. Well, this is Sinker Cypress, and Cypress is a lot like redwood. It's a very soft top, so it's amazing for fingerstyle playing. Very warm, very robust. It's got a super cool look to it, and then we paired it with this is Black Limba, yeah? So it's kind of like a Carina, or it would be like a very much like mahogany. So this is going to be a very warm, natural sounding guitar. And so we bound this thing in Koa. Once again, the Euro Deco and Art Deco motif. Super dark guitar. This one turned out great.
Yes.
So this is the smallest body shape we make. This is a grand concert body shape, and it's also a 12 fret version. So majority of acoustic guitars, the neck joins the body at the 14th fret, and this is sort of a nod back to classical guitar building too. We join it at the 12th fret, so what that does is pushes the bridge back in the belly of the guitar a little bit more, and so it creates a really cool playing experience because your arm's not out here, it's right here. You're playing your picking hand is super comfortable as well. And this is one of the nicest guitars I've ever seen from any brand. So very, very nice.
Is it tuned? Can you hear it back there okay? Super mellow. We should compare that to the Rosewood.
Could you strum that a little bit, Rich?
I beg your pardon?
Could you strum that a little bit?
You're getting paid in cookies, remember.
That's right. Okay, so this is also a 12 fret grand concert. It just has a cutaway, so everything still comes into play as far as where everything is spaced. 12 fret, but this is going to be rosewood
Spruce
with
top.
a spruce top. Totally different playing experience. This is why you need to have more than 5 guitars. So if I try to do the same thing, so it's a, the spruce is making that pop just a little bit faster. I don't know if you're, you know, I'm right here so I can feel it maybe a little bit more softer, a little bit more, just hits you a little bit more. That's why you need both of them.
Now for something completely different. Look at this, there's 8 tuners on this headstock. What the heck is that? You okay with that, Tom?
Yeah, he is. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Don't hurt yourself.
So this is a black limba again. I'm pretty sure we put a spruce top on this. This has like a darker chocolate, not completely black if you get in the sunlight.
Chocolate Merlot
There
is
you
what the
go.
color's called. So it's almost a burgundy color.
Yep, and so this thing is tuned, this is a baritone guitar. So it's tuned B to B, it's a low gauge 70 string, and the 2 middle strings are octaves. So you're getting like, you can do acoustic bass, you can do acoustic guitar, and you get a little 12 string chime in there as well. So it's a very inspiring instrument, and don't get freaked out by it because it's the same chords as you're used to. They're just transposed a fourth lower.
Yeah, so what he's trying to say by a fourth lower, musician speak, if I do an E here, remember he
The
said
E
it was
shape,
tuned B
yep.
to B. If it's an E shape, it's really a B chord. Everything just shifts up that way.
Easiest way I describe it, if you capo at the 5th fret, you're in standard tuning. So that gives you an idea how far down now you are.
Yeah. So I'm doing a D shape, but it's really an
Why? W?
A chord.
Oh, A chord. Really something like that.
So if you do some cool, like, so now I'm actually in the key of A. And there's my E chord, and there's my B chord. And there's my E chord again. So once you get your head wrapped around it, you go, oh, it's not a big deal. And it won't be, it'll take you 15 minutes. And you'll go, okay, I'm comfortable now.
But play like G, C, D like you normally would, right?
And it plays just like a 6-string. I mean, you know, you might think, well, they're big fat strings, it's 8. It doesn't even register. You just play the guitar.
Try it out when you get a chance. These are a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
You gotta double up on that, they have the G and the D.
The G and the D.
Right.
G and the D.
Yeah.
The 2 middle ones.
What would be the
Or in this case, the A and the D.
Yeah. So this is just an Alcoa, some fancy inlay, Ivoroid inlay, nice sapwood down the middle, the front and back. You can do that, and then I'll grab one more at the end.
So again, with Koa, it's going to bloom. like about Koa is that it can take a hard hit. I've said that with the other couple other guitars too. But it can, you know, here's an interesting little fact. You can overdrive an acoustic guitar. Okay, so you're getting that top that's moving, and the tops are different brace, they're different thicknesses, they're different this, they're different that. But, you know, if you have a smaller bodied guitar, like a Grand Auditorium is a little bit smaller in the real estate than a larger Dread or Grand Pacific or something, and if you strike it really hard with a pick, it's going, Rich, I can only do this volume. I can't do any more than that, and you're pushing me. You know, you're getting, it's almost like that speaker is overdriving. This is your speaker, right? I mean, the top of your guitar. So with Koa, when you get a hardwood top, even a mahogany top sometimes, if you're an aggressive player, look, and you all know who you are. If you hit the guitar hard, you're an aggressive player. Use a heavy pick and you hit it hard. And you want to make sure you have a top that can handle that.
Every once in a while, Taylor will come out, and this is kind of a rare bird. This is a 200 series custom. They found some beautiful Koa. They thought this Koa was cool enough where we didn't want to shade it really dark. A lot of you guys might know the Taylor 224 CE Koa Deluxe, one of their all-time most popular guitars. Made down in Mexico, still very affordable, but it's a Koa guitar at an affordable price. This time, because they did find this Koa, probably sitting there, what are we going to do with it? Let's make some 200 series customs. So satin finish, which I feel opens up the guitar a little more, and none of that dark shading on it. So again, like something like this, I mean that's
really
that
nice.
close to master grade, if not double A.
That's super
And
nice.
again, a very affordable custom guitar. These don't come out too often.
We're out of them.
Yeah,
We
they're
don't
out
have
of
them
them.
anymore.
Is that a solid wood guitar too, or later?
The top.
It's going to be the
The top.
top is solid and the back and sides are layered wood. But it's all wood. You know, that's the one thing that, oh, it's plywood. It's wood. And that's
Layered
considered.
guitars, some do.
We do an inner hour veneer, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so on a guitar like that, yes, using veneers is a way to cut costs. If that was solid Koa, it would be this price.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have that good quality wood on the inside, that's going to project a good quality tone. So this is as close as you're going to get to an all Koa guitar without this kind of price tag here.
It's Mexican made.
Oh,
I see what you did there.
I see what I did there? You know, the other quick thing I'm going to add, if you play out a lot, I do an acoustic gig, and sometimes it gets loud. Even when you're by yourself, it can get loud. Sometimes the layered wood guitars can handle a higher volume threshold if you're using the regular electronics. Doesn't matter if it's an ES2 or an LR Bags, it can handle it better. So you're a worship leader, you're out there playing, and the volume starts to escalate. This is a perfect stage guitar. You know, so anything in the 200 series, even in the 100 series. So I just wanted to add that a little bit. The layered wood, what it does is it seems to control that vibration just a little bit better in high volume situations. Okay? It can take it.
Nice sounding guitar.
Yeah, it's a great sounding guitar.
I've heard many times from the Taylor representatives that if you're a gigging musician, the 200 series is the way.
That's your go-to.
Yeah, plus, I mean, I guess you could gig with that Koa, custom Koa. I know you're nervous taking it out of the house. Oh my God, you're keeping an eye on it. You don't want anybody to bump into it.
I do.
And I'm not saying you don't want anybody to bump into your 200 series, but it's a little safe. You feel more comfortable taking it out of the house. Plus, it has that tone to it.
Yeah. Any questions?
So you're talking about gigging. Is there a wood selection that is the most stable for, say, traveling multiple gigs in a row from one environment to another?
I don't know whether I would say stability-wise, but I mean, rosewood has rosewood and mahogany have been around for so long, and, you know, moving these things around in cases and things like that.
Yeah, but still, I'll go to other guitar stores that don't maintain their humidity, and I'll see rosewood and all sorts of tone woods crack. So it all has to do with the way that the piece of wood takes on moisture content. So that's what you're monitoring. You know, you're monitoring the amount of water vapor in the air. And I don't think there's any wood that's more stable than others when it comes to humidity. You know,
Yeah.
they're all, since they're all, you know, solid pieces of wood and they're super thin, you know, 80 thou, 60 thou, 100 thou, you got to really take care of them and just make sure you're monitoring it. So,
But
but with layered wood, no, that's, since it's a poplar inner outer veneer, it is less susceptible to humidity.
Yeah, if I was doing gigs in the Midwest in the summertime when it's 50, 60% humidity, now I take my $10,000 Taylor Custom when I do my acoustic gigs.
Which guitar is that?
It's that tree.
You bought that?
I bought the tree,
Okay, good
yeah.
for you.
And my maple. And my builder's edition.
Now
Where are
he's
we going with
bragging.
this?
He's a Hall of Famer.
You're only at
Hall of
3.
Famer. But yeah, the layered wood in a high humidity situation is probably going to be a little bit more stable. Any other questions?
I could second what you just said, because I have a 12 string, I have a Taylor solid wood 12 string, it's a jumbo.
Awesome.
And but the 150 12 string with the layered wood, it stays in tune much more readily, you know, when there are temperature and humidity changes.
Yeah.
So that's, you're right about that.
Yep.
How many of you all have a 12 string? How many are Taylors?
You need to do something about that.
You need to do
Rich.
something about that, yeah.
I got two of them.
Good for you.
Any other questions? Really, thanks for hanging out on Sunday. Yeah.
How much of a difference does it make with the cutouts? You know, you got the,
That's a great question.
It really is.
Your volume has changed X amount from that corner.
Yeah, there's a lot of science that goes into the, you know, the body of the guitar, and obviously when it comes to physics, you're taking away something here. But the way we learned a long time ago, and it totally makes sense to me as well, we showed you, even with the bracing, like, hey, everything with the V-class versus the new fan V-class, what we did was south of the sound hole, right, in the lower bout, when we changed things around, and you heard how much of a difference that was. And when you do the simple tap test, you can see, like, okay, right, there's a lot of resonance there. Let's get up to this point. You know, most of your sound is rolling around down here in the lower bout. You've got the neck block here, you've got all sorts of like tight tension. So not a lot of sound is rolling around in the upper bout. We just say if you need those frets or if you like the way it looks, then get a cutaway. But it's not going to affect your sound. You know, it's like what little piece is going to affect the sound. Is it the bone bridge pins? Is it the bridge plate that's rosewood instead of spruce? Is it the, you know, bone nuts? Like how much do you know that one piece of that attribute of the guitar is translating into a difference in tone? So I would say not a lot.
Yeah, you'd have to have the ears of Bugs Bunny.
How do the rules apply to nylon string? Very much the same, although you have different, usually top materials are softer. You'll have a lot of cypress, but there's softer tops, much like you'd find a cedar top or a redwood top. Because the tension of the strings is totally different, and therefore the top of the guitar is going to be braced different as well. But in terms of tone woods, very similar, but you don't find a lot of, you still find a lot of rosewood guitars for sure. Like flamenco guitars, what's the back and sides? They're like a what is it?
Cypress.
Yeah, so that's more like a maple, right? Sycamore as well, we were talking about that, which is a sort of a maple. So generally, yeah, you're following the same rules, although the technique and the bracing is different because of the tension of the strings.
And the
That's a really good
scale, and the
question.
scale is always longer. I mean, you're always going to be a 25.5 inch scale
That's a good question.
on the nylons. So let's talk about just the basic, because this is a custom event, and we really appreciate how you've been hanging in there with us. So let's say I'm thinking about building a custom. So what do I want to think about? Well, I would just take it into some steps. The first thing I would do is try on, just like you're trying on clothes, try on the size of the guitar. Play a concert, play a grand auditorium, play a Grand Pacific. Think about the kind of sounds that you just basic sound. Paint with a broad brush. You got a canvas, and right now you're black and white. No colors yet. So this size fits me. This size doesn't. This bass response, and I would probably, stop me if I'm wrong, I would probably start with a rosewood. Because if you sing and play guitar. A rosewood will give you where your voice doesn't go. Really low end, really high end. Listen to that. Then play a mahogany. See what you think of that tone shape, because it's going to take you from a pushed low end and a pushed high end down flatter. Okay? Then, yes, play a maple guitar. Absolutely. My favorite guitars in my collection, and I have a lot, is my maple. That is my go-to. Okay?
Good point, because like you can, all of the exotics are in some form of rosewood, mahogany, or maple. You can relate them back to, you know, one of those three tone woods. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's where you start. And then, you know, because you know you're going to start at X dollars, no matter what custom you bid, it starts here. And then you pick your I'm going to go rosewood. Okay, I'm going to go mahogany. No problem. Now let's talk about, and you already have your size chosen. Whether it's Grand Auditorium, they're all the same price. Okay. Do I want a cutaway? Yes or no? Okay. It's really, it's not rocket science. So, okay, so you've chosen your size, you've chosen your woods. Definitely play those exotic woods. You've got to play a koa. You've got to play some of these just to get a feel for what's going on. And Paul is going to have a thing. He'll go, okay, so here's where we're spending now. Here's about where we are. Now, what do you want it to look like? What kind of maybe inlays do you want? What kind of bling and finishes do I want to add to this? And that's when you make it your own.
That
All right?
gives it your own personality.
That's when you put your personality. So don't get overexcited about, oh my God, I would love to build a custom, but I don't even know where to begin. That's where you begin.
Talk to Paul.
And you talk to Paul. He can help you with that. I'm going to take 2 minutes. I just want to talk to you about this guitar because it's one of my favorite guitars. This is a concert size 12-string. Most 12-string guitars are big. All right? They're like the 858. They're huge. I'm not a fan of huge guitars, personally. I like a well-balanced sound. All right, so 12-string maple, because I want, you know, I want a jangly 12-string. That's what I want, right? This is also a 12-fret, so it's more intimate, okay? The other thing that's very interesting about this guitar, and is why I love talking about this guitar, is that it is backwards strung. What I'm saying is that the initial hit of your string is the fundamental note. For those of you that understand 12 strings, it's normally the higher octave. This is the lower octave first. So when I come down on my initial, I'm hitting that string instead of that string. Right? I'm hitting the low string instead of that one first. On most 12 strings, you'd hit this one first and then that one. So when you strum your chord, if I stroke down, the fundamental note rings a little bit truer. If I was playing a regular 12, and this is kind of hard, but it's different, it's backwards. Then the next question is, it's a small body, it can't sound big. Are you kidding me? This guitar sounds huge, and I don't have to put a lot of energy into it because it's a small body. I'm going to tell you something that you probably don't know, but that you'll witness it. The harder you hit a guitar, the less technique, you lose technique. You gain volume, but you lose technique because you're too busy trying to get volume out of the guitar. With this guitar, I can very lightly, I mean, I'm barely touching this guitar. It sounds extremely balanced. I can hear every single string, and the chords sound totally right on the money. So I would just, if you need a 12 string, just play this.
Yeah, super unique.
Super
and
unique.
Very versatile.
Yeah.
Do you have to get a 600 series to have them reversed? Have the
Only on the Builder's Edition.
on the Builder's Edition only?
They didn't change it. Yeah, because there is no 12 string in the 600. This is the only 612.
Correct.
So it's, yeah, it's got to be.
Anything below that, you're going to get
The regular one,
The
yeah,
regular,
352,
yeah.
362.
Correct. Yeah, they're not doing 5.
Rich, no, we appreciate you spending your Sundays. I know
Yeah.
you have families and all that.
So thanks, you guys.